Movie one from this week's watch list. My movie watch list for the week of 23 April 2024. I watched video one in the order I introduced them yesterday. Respect, 2021 film. Just finished viewing it all the way through. Today is Wednesday, 24 April 2024. I'm Tanis Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle, including by blood. I am part Native American. And so these are my movie notes from my viewing today, Wednesday, 24 April 2024, of this 2021 film Respect, which is what? Here's my description. About as boring as can be. A biographical film about musical artist Aretha Franklin, who is of African descent. And so since she's of African descent and that features very centrally in her story, I was like, well, I should be upfront about what I am. So I'm part Native American and I'm part European by ancestral origins. So 2 continents, not Africa. Okay. So we are not the same, is a way of what I'm saying. So it's good to watch this and get a slice of the universe other than myself. Yes. And what were my movie notes? Did I just look at a Meghan Markle biography I'm reading? That was like the same thing. Neither of them had pets, at least as portrayed. So I'm reading a book about a prince of England, princess of England. And I noticed in the book today when I was reading, there were no pets, and I was watching this, and I brought it up at the dinner table, there were no pets, and then I was like, well, I started this before dinner and then finished it after dinner, and I live with my parents. I brought up at the dinner table, the princess didn't have pets, at least it's portrayed in the book, and then I was like watching this, and they're like, there were no pets in this either. They share something in common. It's something they do not share in common with me. So yeah. So I thought, Respect is a name of a song she has been well known for in my lifetime. I was born approximately 1993. And so I thought they did a good job of covering. She did not write the song Respect. It was somebody else, and she sang a version of it. What I thought this movie did really well was highlighting the significance of why it mattered, or, well, okay, it didn't really highlight that. It was a takeaway, my own takeaway. But, like, so it covers, like, before she did what is now, like, the term for it now is called a cover. Somebody sings their own version of a song. I actually have done one of those on this channel for a song from a movie called Pitch Perfect for a song called Cups. So I actually have done that on this channel. Myself, I'm getting some more with that, is what kind of is at the beginning of her music career is an environment where it's not necessarily acceptable to sing the songs of another person, of one's own race / ethnicity, specifically her race / ethnicity. And so there's actually a bunch of like turmoil. So she does other people's songs, her own songs, but it really is kind of about songs for her, so not so much. But I just thought it did a good job to bring that into the movie in the sense of her song. That's not her song. Respect's not her song. It's a song she sang, so it's her cover of the song, which is what we had. It was a really big hit in her lifetime. In this movie, they say she died in August 2019. And so, no, 2018. The Meghan Markle biography was published in April 2018. 2018. So I was like watching this and I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. And so, Meghan Markle rhymes with sparkle. Not to be confused with the sparkle of this dress. Okay. Although they're both, Meghan Markle is part of African ancestry as well. So she has more in common with Aretha Franklin on race and ethnicity than I do, which I have nothing in common with. At least that's portrayed in this movie. And so where I'm going with this, covers. Was she, is this controversial? Was she the person who popularized covers? Mic drop? Tanis takeaway. That's what I finished this movie and I was like, is she though? For real, right? Because even if people only of European descent, you can call me white, but that's wrong. I'm Native American and white, and a lot of people like to get stuff wrong. So I was like, yeah, for her, right, if one wants to say somebody popularized it for everybody, and the stragglers, so to speak, are people of African descent singing songs by other people of African descent, if they were like the last race through, they're like, we're still doing it, right? Then technically she would get she is the one who popularized it, because she was the last to do something, is also the one who makes it ubiquitous for everybody. Yeah. So like the first person to do something can't say they do it for everybody, right? Because it was still a problem in her community. So in that sense, while covering European might have been okay, it was not okay culturally for African to do that to African. Right? African descent to do that to African descent. So technically, that person who does it European cannot speak to the rest of the community. Now, if it's just, it percolates everywhere at the same time, then yes, it was that European descent. But if some communities are not at the same time, right, they're struggling with it more than others, and it really highlights in this case female end of African descent and female of African descent. Right? So in that sense, she could be, if she was last, then she would be the popularizer for everybody if everybody else had achieved it. If that makes any sense, right? Just because somebody's first, if it doesn't take off for everybody, right, it doesn't mean they did it for everybody. In that case, it would actually be the last person, right, to make it true for everybody. Right, so it's like people can push for equality all they want. If it only percolates within their own community, they have disqualified themselves from being the one who pushes it for everybody. That's going to be the last person. That's just how reality works. So I was watching this and I was like, I have no idea what the chronology is, but was she a trendsetter? Right, with covers. Covers exist to this day and are like super common, super viral. You know, it's how people start their careers versus at this point in time, that was how they ended their careers. And she was one who turned a song named Respect into a career maker, not breaker. Okay. Anything else? I'll highlight, so since I've talked on this channel, so if you do see this, you've already seen it, or are watching it, she gets, I'm guessing, raped in this movie. They don't actually ever say she was raped. How it's portrayed, that's my best guess. Since I've talked on this channel in the past about being raped, I'm going to differentiate. My type of rape and her type of rape were not the same thing. There's actually legal terminology. So if somebody is not of the age of consent and they're the person being raped and the person is above the age of consent within a certain margin, it's called statutory rape. So she was really young when she was raped and the guy was a bit older than her. So she experienced what was called statutory rape. I did not. I was 19 years of age. I was living in South Africa, the continent of Africa at the time. And he was a European, I'm guessing by ancestral origins. I did not poke and prod him about that. But yeah, so I just wanted to highlight. And he was older than me. But yeah, so not the same type of rape. If one wanted that logistical, legal background. I will say though, it was interesting. So I was raped in Africa, and I'm not of African descent. I spent a grand total of less than 6 months living in Africa before I came back here to the Seattle area. You know, this is part of the land. Original peoples. You're like, original people still living on original people's land, right? The corresponding. That's a miracle in this country, the United States of America. Yeah. And so I thought it was interesting how to contrast with someone like her, and her specifically, she's not of Native American ancestry, and she was raped on, like, so if we wanted to say it on a continent, right, so by race, I was raped on her continent of Africa, and she was raped on my continent of North America, but I left Africa. She did not leave North America, and United States of America more specifically, right? So in terms of that sense, if leaving, right, is part of the respect protocol, she did not respect me nor my Native American family, nor ancestors of the land she lived on without our consent, right? Just because you're not white doesn't mean you're better than the whites. Just a reality check. There are some races that are much worse. So yeah, but just because somebody sings a song about respect, who's gonna think about like, and whose land are you standing on? Because that sure as heck ain't yours, and you didn't ask for consent. So raping us is not the solution here, right? If you're not Native American, and she's an example. So yeah, just gotta call that out, right? She said she inspired all these racial activists and social movements and stuff in them, or social activity, and I was like, and yet she discriminated against and continued to rape me and my fellow Native Americans. Not respectful. So there we go. My movie notes on Respect 2021 film, 24 April 2024 viewing. And I will say there, it doesn't mean the movie is bad. It did a good job in clearly conveying that. This is kind of like the Fort book, where it's like, yes, the person is racist. Okay. But that's the person. That's not necessarily right. The film is a biographical picture about the person. So there's careful on thinking like, just because the person's not necessarily a good person, right? And spreading a religion that wasn't and isn't the religion of me and my fellow Native Americans and our original peoples, right? Christianity is an intrusive, invasive language in these parts, or religion, Christianity. Right, it's not my religion. So in that sense, just if you really want to go that far, right? Nothing she ever did in her life with her Christian music was about me, Tanis Coralee Leonhardi. That's not a religion that's true to these parts. North and South America, United States of America more specifically, Native Americans. But yeah, so while the person is bad does not mean the movie is bad. All right, I was able to watch it all the way through and glean some insights. So there we go. So, happy day and time of viewing to you whenever you're viewing this, and happy place of viewing wherever you're viewing this from.